Welcome to San Cabrillo Zoo. This is my passion project based off of the San Diego Zoo and Safari Park and some other institutions that we'll get into later. But what I want to show you guys today is the results of what we've been working on for the past month or so, and that is our urban jungle section. When I set out to make San Cabrillo Zoo, I really wanted to capture the charm that I was inspired by in the real life San Diego Zoo and try and put that in my own perspective and my own vibes within Planet Zoo. If you've been to this park before, you might already start to notice some similarities between these habitats, between these animal choices, between these little weird quirks that we have in here that I was super captured by and stuff I really wanted to make happen within my own project. Now, Urban Jungle really isn't the most up-to-date section of the San Diego Zoo, I'll admit that right off the bat, but it still is something I really wanted to recreate because there's some charm in doing some builds that are just a little bit more dated, a little bit out of style in Planet Zoo, and it provides such a really fun challenge when it comes to making your own parks and zoos. If you're struggling with making your own parks in Planet Zoo, I always suggest trying to make your own little challenges, making your own little design guidelines to go by, and that really helps to breed innovation. It helps to breed creativity that I feel like can push your parks to the next extreme. Now today I wanted to take the time to actually go through here and take a little tour of everything that we worked on, and honestly bring some other people up to speed on what this project is, the quick little tiny things that we put in here, and also show off some of the blueprints that you guys can use in your own zoos. You guys can check out the blueprint links in the description down below in case you guys do want to make your own sets with my pieces down there. Go check that stuff out. Oh yeah, and I put this entire park on the workshop as well for you guys to kind of tour on your own. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and welcome to San Cabrillo Zoo. So I figured we would just start at the entrance because, hey, why would we start at the exit, you know? So this statue already, I just want to bring good attention to this. This was originally made by Nicholas Lion-Rider. Very, very awesome prop. So essentially it was kind of based off of the Safari Park lion, which is therefore based off of Rex, the statue at the San Diego Zoo. So if we look up lion statue, there are no modded pieces in this build, by the way, just pieces that are meant to look like modded pieces. So here's the original statue from the Safari Pack, and there's like the art piece one. Very cool right there. I know some people are making good use of it on their own projects. I think Captain Callum on the Reddit has been doing his own little San Diego recreation, so it's just cool to see that this piece gets some good multifaceted uses. Now, I don't want to focus too much on this stuff out here because I really haven't been working on the parking lot all too much, but there are some like small little areas I've been kind of tinkering around with, kind of like this little entrance area with all this stuff. But the real zoo, we could just get right into because that's kind of why we're here. So let me pop back down to explore mode. I still need to do some like banners and like signage and stuff like that. I'm not too confident in my abilities right now, but I'm going to play around with Canva soon just to be able to get that to work out. I did all of these custom little ticket booths. I'm super proud of these. I thought they turned out very adorable, and we can actually get real people in here. I thought that worked out very, very nicely. And it's just so cool. It's somewhat functional. Obviously, the guests won't really use it, but it's fine by me. I just have one path, as you can kind of see, going all throughout here. And I think that works for the purposes I have anyways. So it's just cool to see that. But continuing on in here, we're led to this beautiful view. I am not entirely sure where to put the big statue. Not the big statue, the big tower. I feel like having it be front and center once you actually enter into the park is going to be really cool to see. But for the time being, it's kind of just living wherever it wants to. Who knows, it may even end up right over there. But the idea, once you kind of get down here, it's going to be a nice big main street. It's going to have like all your little kiosks for like face painting. little gift shop stands. And this is, of course, going to be like the gift shops, the sweet shops, all that stuff all throughout there. There's a blueprint set. We might as well kind of just talk about that right now, too. This is now officially on the workshop by the time this video comes out. So you guys can go check that out. It has all my lovely little fences in here. I might have missed like one or two, but you get a good chunk of them in here. And you have like all the other kind of utility things as well that I kind of made custom for this build. We'll see all of that in a little bit, but popping back in here, back into explore mode, I'm going to turn this back on because sometimes it gets a little stuck. So I'm just going to turn it on and leave it for guests to enter. So I have to give a quick another shout out to Cool Dog, who actually made these tour buses. I don't have them in here right now, but I think it might be actually kind of cool to kind of have one right here, actually. I think that might be a little funky to see. Yeah. I don't know, I really, really do like these. It was definitely one of my favorite parts of the San Diego Zoo when I went to go visit. So being able to kind of see that come into play is just very cool. We have two lions over here. I made these both with the same pieces, so these are just the lion statues kind of curved on each other. So I have one lying down, one standing up. Popping over here, I got to work on this pathway a little bit more, not too happy with it. But I do have the entrance to this little cafe, which once it's done is going to be probably one of the coziest areas in this little entrance plaza. Super happy with the vistas that we get in here, and once I actually plant this up, it's going to look so freaking spectacular. Let's bust through the window really, really quickly, and we can get started on the rest of the tour. I do want to speed up time just so that we could get these tour vehicles to start to move, because I am so happy with how well this turned out. So I did use a mod for this one. I know, listen, I can't not use mods sometimes. I use Planet Zoo Plus specifically to make trackless versions of the 4x4 and be able to put them wherever I wanted. So you'll notice that these kind of go all throughout the park. So they kind of act as little tour vehicles that you could probably pay a little extra dollars for in order to kind of experience the zoo through like a keeper. So you can kind of just pretend that I did not know that those had collision. That is so funky. But you can kind of pop on here, pretend that you are a keeper, or pretend that you're a guest, and kind of just drive through the zoo like this. This is so freaking fun, and you can watch the people kind of running right beside you. I used to do that as a kid. I used to chase like the little trains around at the zoo. I always thought that was kind of fun. But let's pop down here, not in scenic mode, because that is not what we want. But this was our first habitat in here. This is the black rhinoceros habitat. As you can see, it was originally based off of the original elephant habitat, now hippo habitat, at San Diego Zoo, Urban Jungle. I'm really super satisfied with this. So this is what they use to actually get like the kind of carts in here just for habitat maintenance, bringing in new materials and stuff like that. I thought that was a really, really cool thing to implement right over here, because it really helps to kind of break up the monotony of a whole bunch of fences, and it brings in another era of like realism. What I love about Urban Jungle is that they're not afraid to show kind of like the backstages of everything. I think it works really, really well, just to show off just how intricate the San Diego Zoo's care is for their animals. I really do like that. One of my other favorite parts in here is the giraffe feeding area. This habitat is for giraffes and domagazelles, and I ripped this off directly from the San Diego Zoo, of course. This is where you could participate in a giraffe feeding. So obviously he's a little too close right here, but you could come over here, a keeper would kind of talk to you, and you would be able to pick up some lettuce leaves and then feed the giraffes right there. Check out that giraffe remastered by Narwhaler. It's so beautiful. But look at that, it's so cool. I want to get it looking just right, because it just doesn't look right now. But yeah, this is another thing I want to implement in here. I really hope that someday Planet Zoo implements giraffe feeding. It's probably one of my favorite things to do at the zoo. Yeah, there we go. So they have like these little divots in the fence so they could actually reach their neck down a little bit more. just in case if like you're a little Johnny down here and you're like only this tall, you can still feed the giraffe. But yeah, I really hope that we can get giraffe feeding soon, because that would be such a cool feature to have. But as we continue right down here, we could see that I tried my best to break up this kind of monotony of this pathway, I guess. So obviously it's one big road to account for the big tour vehicles as well as the Jeeps. But I wanted to break it up by these little planter areas, so these are probably one of my favorite things right over here. I use the flower beds upside down, and it gives this really, really cool kind of mulch texture. The normal mulch, if I pull that up right here, is not my favorite. Well, it is my favorite, it's just not my favorite for this purpose. You can see it's very much darker, but I didn't really want that in here. I want this area to feel very light, feel very airy, and implementing a much lighter mulch in here did the trick just fine. Now we can actually check out the Dama Gazelle habitat. I'm super happy with how well this one came out. I love these little kind of feeder boxes I made for them. Those are also in that blueprint set right over there. We can see the giraffes are finally making their way out over here. So I did make this little cutoff section right here. I do this a lot in this zoo, at least so far. So I have like these little sectioned off areas just in case if you need to separate any animals, any sexes, etc, etc. So I make sure to account for stuff like that. But these guys share their habitat. In the San Diego Zoo, they actually share it with, I want to say, slenderhorn gazelles, I think. Either way, I wanted to switch it out for the Dama Gazelles because this park did release alongside the Arid Animal Pack, and I wanted to get the Dama Gazelles in here because they look so freaking good. How could I not? But yeah, I also gave them a little bit of water over here, nothing too crazy. You can see he's drinking it right there. Hell of a view, right guys? But over here, I did somewhat of a custom giraffe barn. I really wish I knew how like it looked on the inside. If anyone knows, please reach out because I would love to decorate this out a little bit more. But they have all this room in here. I thought they could kind of separate it for gazelles, separate it for giraffes and stuff like that. And I don't want to show this part off because it's not finished. So we're just going to continue right over here, right across the rocks, and pop down right over here. So I did make this over here for the black rhinos. They're not really using their whole habitat right now, which is a little sad, but it's fine. But I really am super happy with how big and expansive this habitat feels. One of my main complaints about urban jungle in San Diego Zoo is the fact that it does feel a little bit cramped. So I am happy that I was actually able to bring in a little bit more space into the rhino habitat. I thought it turned out pretty good right there, and you can get some views of the actual holding barn right back there. Super proud of that, but we'll check that in a bit. One of my other favorite habitats in here, just because of this fence alone, is the Somali wild ass exhibit. They actually share it with a few plain zebra mares. Super happy about that, and it's just such a cool mix. In the San Diego Zoo, we actually have this habitat serving for the miniature donkey and the plains zebra, or some other kind of zebra. I really don't know. I don't know my zebras, unfortunately. But this was a really fun challenge of a habitat to make because it does have all these nice organic kind of weaving slopes and stuff like that, and you can kind of see it very, very slightly in the pathing right over here. So one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that it has that kind of like raised elevation ever so slightly. It's probably no more than 2 feet, but I still wanted to make sure that you could feel the elevation as you make it through here. Elevation in Planet Zoo is something that really can help to elevate your builds, pun intended, when it comes to making them feel a little bit more realistic, a little bit more organic. And it just looks really cool to begin with. And you get some nice views of that tower back there again. That's kind of like my version of the Balboa Park Tower. I really am super happy with it. I don't know, just even from back here, the colors on it work so well. I'm super happy with it. But yeah, super awesome habitat for super awesome animals. Again, I did some backstage. Obviously, I'm not too knowledgeable of animal backstages. I'm not really a zookeeper, but I kind of set up the pieces in case if anyone does want to like help me out with it or come into the zoo. I'm not sure, kind of like an open request. But I have all of that stuff back there, so that's just really cool. One of my favorite vistas in this habitat too is right over here. You could see all these layers of all these fences, all of these animals. If the rhino were right over there, that'd be so cool. But you could see the giraffes all the way back there. You could see the donkeys right up here. It's just so freaking spectacular. Oh my gosh. So as we move on in here, you might start to notice some lovely little calls. We have kookaburras in here. Obviously, they're not real animals. I do have egg piece versions, so I believe these were made by Jaguar. I don't think they're publicly released just yet, but they will be soon. But yeah, it's just a really simple habitat. I don't have this on the workshop, but I do have the zoo on the workshop so far. So if you want to pop in here and save this, feel free to, because I do not mind at all. That's why I kind of put it on the workshop. I do want to quickly talk about this too, right behind here. This is also one of my other favorite views in here. So one of the things I noticed in the San Diego Zoo is the fact that all their buildings for backstage have numbers on them. And I really want to implement that into my own builds as well. So this is building number 12. It's the Rhino building. So I thought that was a really fun, tiny little detail to kind of bring back in here. And I'm super happy with that. Now we are here at the porcupines, the lovely African crested porcupine exhibit. Super happy with how well this one came out. It's so simple, it's just a box, but there's so much that you can do with a square habitat to make it feel so much more organic. For example, I have these nice little pace trails, not really pace trails because I guess they don't really pace all too much, but it really does help to fill it out a lot more. Helps it feel like it's a lot more lived in. I don't know, I really do like that stuff, and it was just really fun to put together. Making good use of the grasses in here as well. This is kind of where the grasses in this section really shine. Unfortunately, these are all hoofstock areas, so the grasses would have just either been eaten up or trampled on. But since carnivores and other animals, kind of like rodents and stuff like that, don't eat grass religiously like hoofstock do, you can have a lot more fun with the grass in here, and that's exactly what I did. And just other tiny details in here, I did some little stumps for them to hide in. I put like the little burrow for them as well. Just really, really fun habitat to put together. I don't know, I really do like that. We have two different entrances for the keepers, so we have this door right here, which is what the San Diego Zoo has, and I also have one for Planet Zoo purposes right back here. And that also leads us to our next habitat right back here. Let's pop back there. But before we pop over there, I want to quickly show off the rhino barn interior. Again, unfortunately, I'm not the most knowledgeable in kind of like hoofstock barns, but I did enjoy kind of building the framework for it at least. So I do have different separate holding cells for the rhinos. I only have 2 in here because I only have 2 rhinos, but I'm sure I could kind of like make another section in here. But I did make these custom windows off screen. Super happy with that, so you could actually air out this building, because I'm sure with a whole bunch of rhinos in here, it would get kind of smelly, and we don't really want that. And it's not really accessible to the public. I do need to kind of like barrier it off soon. Once I actually go through here and do like another overpass, maybe once I actually do some more backstage. But I'll figure that out all later. In here, I do have 2 habitats, one for the bat-eared fox. This is our first modded animal in here. So if you guys are downloading this from the workshop, these guys won't be in here if you don't use mods. I made it perfectly safe for anyone who doesn't use mods to load into the zoo and not have any issue. You'll just have an empty habitat in here, and honestly, that's more realistic to San Diego Zoo than anything else. But these were based off of the Binturong porcupine, old porcupine exhibits in the San Diego Zoo. Super happy with these. It's just so simple. I care more about the actual framework for these than anything else. The insides of the habitats are just fine. They're just, you know, mesh enclosures really you can't do much with. But I still had a lot of fun with it, like the tetrastigma vines. Not really the biggest proponent of using these, but they were so fun just to be able to use specifically for my purposes in here. And I don't know, it was just so fun to put together. Look at these little guys, it's so cute. But yeah, I really do love this corner. It feels so quiet compared to the rest of like the urban jungle section that it's just so nice, so cozy. It's definitely one of my favorites. Might as well show off the little bit of backstage we have back here. Again, I don't really have much in here besides like these little go-karts. Yeah, that's really it. I forget I think it's Mr. Gomez who made these actually. Really simple pieces. Really enjoy them. Super cool to have. Now we can actually make our way to the cheetahs. Again, these guys are with the domestic dog mod. Again, if you guys don't use mods, that is totally fine. This is a perfect vanilla zoo. I want to make sure I make that known. If you load in here without mods, you're getting pretty much the same experience, just with less animals. And that's something I really want to have in here as well. So yes, this is again based off of the San Diego Zoo's Urban Jungle Cheetah exhibit. It's definitely one that exists. It's not the best habitat in there, but it's still cool just that I was able to kind of make my own version of it. There's some differences with mine that the San Diego Zoo has with theirs, but I'm super happy with this. I don't know, I just really do like it. And yeah, it's just a very nice cozy section. And once you get finished with that, you can make your way over here to the last rhino viewing, where we could actually view the black rhinos. They are chilling out under the shade structure. Again, I put this on the workshop as well in case if you guys want to use it. But it's just such a nice little corner of this section that, I don't know, it's a lot more industrial because I have all these plaster walls. And it just looks super cool with all of that being said. I don't know. And as we continue down here, I have this section laid out for whatever's going to come right after this. And yeah, that's honestly really it. Wow. Okay, 20-minute tour. That was super fun. And I have so many other plans for this zoo. I think I want to get started on the flamingos and kind of flesh out this section so that I could at least kind of like section off this chunk and call that done. I think I'm going to do like a few intermediary kind of things in here, kind of like, you know, doing the rest of the main street, making sure that that all looks pretty and stuff before I actually get started on a whole other section. It's either going to be the primate trails, or it might even be kind of like their mini Australia section. Knocking on wood, hoping we get the Tasmanian devil in the next pack, because that would be like the icing on the cake. I would do such a killer Australian section right over there if I had the chance. But yeah, that is it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the cinematics. I'm going to end it right here, but I hope you guys enjoy like the rest of the sweeping shots that we kind of gathered throughout this entire series. I really do appreciate it if you guys do get the chance. Not only like this video, but go check out the workshop blueprints. Go rate them. Go comment on them. I could use all the support I can get on there. Thank you so much one last time. Enjoy the cinematics one last time. And I'll see you all in the next episode of San Cabrillo Zoo.